Hi everyone, this is Sherri Patten Ceramics, and today we are making human feet. You're going to begin with a piece of clay. Depends on how large you want to make it, on the size. This piece of clay is similar to this back one, so that's quite a big foot. I'm making quite a big example right here because I want to make sure that you can really see what I'm doing, and the larger the example that I make, the more that you can see. So I'm beginning by making a column of clay or a cylinder. Remember, if you're making a whole human leg, you want to make that leg long enough that the foot can be part of that one piece of clay. Here though, I'm just making the foot with a little bit of the ankle. So I'm going to take the clay, I'm going to bend it in half. I'm looking and seeing just how long I want this piece of clay to be for these toes. You can see that this part is way too fat right here. So I'm going to flatten it out like this using my palm, and I'm going to push down the clay. I'm really pushing this down. That's doing a good job. And then I'm going to smooth it out more. So I'm really bringing the clay to the end to make it longer. Before I go further, I'm going to look at the back, and I can see that this is a right angle and this is not. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bang this on the desk to make it flat, and now I'm going to have to bang this side to make it flat also. So I'm going to bend it and flatten. So now I have more of that 90-degree angle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have to smooth this area that is cracked right here now. You can see that it's not this and this up. This is actually a bend right here. So you want to smooth that clay up so that you have this kind of a line right here. I'm getting rid of those cracks as I go. Smoothing the foot area. And now I'm looking at it from the side. I'm not really liking this fat area right here. I'm going to get rid of it right now. I can press on the sides like this. I can also blend up. Probably a combination of both like I just did will work the best. And I'm going on the other side, and look how these edges right here should not be there. It should be a round area right here. You can see the round area of your leg is connected there. Alright, so I'm going to look at it again. At this point, you're going to have to decide whether you're making a right foot or a left foot. So looking at this one, right here, I'm going to go with the drawing just because I think it might help you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a line right here so that it is a diagonal line here. This is flat. I'm going to show you one that a student did. Do you see how strange that looks? They went straight across to add the toes. The toes are not like that. This foot goes in a diagonal. These toes, larger to smaller, go in a diagonal like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here and I'm going to cut down this area. Notice I'm not starting at the very end right here. The reason why is because I want some room for that big toe right there. So now I'm going to cut it off, and I'm going to look at my foot. And you can see that this area is still too fat right here. So I'm just going to squish it down. Take off that little piece of clay there. And I'm going to smooth this further so I can get a longer foot. So I'm just making it so that this clay is shorter here and fatter here. So that's why I'm really focusing towards the end. I'm not pushing the clay down from here because I want to keep that fatness right there. All right, I'll put it down. Still looks a little bit too fat and I'd like it longer, so I'm just going to press in the sides. It's better to do it while it's sitting on your desk or on your workspace. The reason that I like to pick it up is just so that you can see it a little bit better. All right, so now what I'm going to do is cut the toes. So remember, this is the biggest toe, the biggest area, and then I'm going to get smaller after that. So one, this one's going to be a little bit smaller, this one's going to be a little bit smaller, and this one at the end is going to be the smallest. So 4 cuts for 5 toes, and I'm going to round these toes at the end. You can see that each is a rounded area. So I just take my paper clip and clip it off. Some of you might want to use your fingernails for this. I like to sometimes. Clip on one side, clip on the other. I know they're a little pointed, but that I can just fix really easily with my finger in just a second. And notice this last one really needs to be cut here. And now I'm just going to push the end, and then it's just perfect. Push the end of each, and there we are. Now I'm going to make the toenails. Notice when I make the toenails, I don't make them with a paper clip, and I make sure to use either a sgraffito tool or a very blunt pencil, and I'm going to follow this curve. The curve of the outside goes with the curve of the inside. So I'm going to do that curve. Notice I'm not going all the way to the end of the toes. Notice this person just took this and went snap, 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 and look how silly that looks. So you don't want to do that. You want this line to go inside the toe and toward the end. Toward the end. It's a little hard to do it when you first make it. Sometimes it's one of those things it's better to deal with later on. I'm going to snap off the end of this toe area because it's just too big. If you have it go out from the foot, because this area was out from this area, you know that's not quite right. It can go out a little bit here, but not much. All right, and now I'm going to do the line across the top here. And that's a little bent line, but it's not too bent. It's not too circular. It's more straight. Kind of almost straight across, but a little curve on each part. Now, they still look a little silly because these are straight lines down, and our toes are curved on top, right? From one to the next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this pencil and I'm going to push down very carefully, and that is going, because this is smaller to fatter, it's going to curve them more. And to curve them even more, I can put the pencil angled on one side and then angled on the other. Angled on one side to pull off a little clay, angled on the other. Angled on one side, angled on the other. Now, this line is not going all the way through, so they don't look separated, so that was kind of silly. So then I'm just going through with a paper clip to make sure that that line, to make sure that they're actually separate toes, right? And the last one. Okay. So now I'm looking at this shape right here. And as you can see, this is really swollen in this area. It should not be swollen in that area. So I'm going to push and push again here. That's looking pretty good. Now from the side, I'm going to look at the part where the big toe is. From this side, you'll notice that there is an arch. So what you're going to do is right between the middle section right here is where you're going to make the arch. You can see that there's an equal area at each part. So that middle section, I'm just going to push up with my finger. So I'm going to push up and then back down. Push up and down to make that arch. You can see how much better that looks. All right. So that's your basic foot. On the bottom, what you do for these toes, like the example here, is you have to make that little indentation there. It's easiest for me to do with a hollowing out tool. So I just, right after the toe ends, I make a little line. And when I smooth this little line, it's going to look good later. I'm also going to go on the bottom. So this is if your piece shows the bottom of a foot, right? Otherwise, you don't really have to worry about it too much at the bottom. All right. Then the other part, I'm not going to smooth it now because some of you won't be doing it. But there's a little bone right here on this side. This is the tibia, actually. That's the bone that goes all the way from your foot to your knee, actually the top of your foot. So I'm going to put a little round piece of clay there. And the reason that I'm doing this is because it doesn't quite look right unless you have that little bump right there. So there's a little bump right here. I'm going to blend in the clay. Notice how I always blend in the sides first, and then I look, and then I can blend in the top of it. Because I want to know how far I want it to stick out. That's about right. The other side, then we have the fibula. And the fibula is another bone that goes all the way up to your knee. It is the skinniest, longest bone in your leg. And that one is more like a line. Again, I'm going to dip it in the water. You can reach down here. And I'm going to put it in about the same place as the one on the other side. But it's just going to be more like a kidney bean. Notice again how I'm pushing on the sides of it, not on the top, on the sides to blend it in. And then I'm going to look at it and see if it's right. It should go up a little bit farther. So you can move things really easily if you do this way. Okay. And I'm just pressing this out a little bit to get that heel more. And there you have your basic foot.